sailboat in the moonlight and June. Wouldn't that be heaven? Oh, heaven just for two. A soft breeze on a June night and June. What a perfect setting for letting dreams come true.
I would like to talk to you about YouTube. What kind of gear are you using when you film?
Our primary camera is the Panasonic GH5, which was a trailblazer when that came out. It recorded 10-bit internal, 4K, 60 frames a second internal. Of course, it had IBIS, which is the the stabilization was built in.
Yeah.
It was a compact Micro Four Thirds system, so obviously everything was nice and small. Because I used to run with a full frame Canon when I was doing photography, and it killed me carrying all that gear.
Yeah.
GH5, even now, even as they've just announced the Canon R5, which is now going to be recording 8K and 120 frames a second, 4K, 10-bit internal.
Need that?
Even now, the GH5 is considered one of the best prosumer video cameras out there. Prosumer, yeah. So it's a consumer, but crossover to professional.
Sure.
And that's our primary camera. Of course, we have all the GoPros, that kind of stuff.
Underwater, we use the Olympus Tough, really simple little camera, but the results are excellent.
The Tough is an excellent compact camera.
How do you spell that?
Tough, T-O-U-G-H. The TG is the TG4, TG5, TG6.
Yeah.
Oh, Tough camera. Okay, yeah. I've never seen them.
Oh no, they're really good. If you look underneath in the description of any of our videos, we do list them all, so you'll see exactly which ones we use. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing which I think is really important with YouTubers, which you learn after a while, is that your audio is also almost more important than your video.
Yes.
You can watch a scratchy video with good audio, but you can't watch terrible audio with good video. So we obviously use a shotgun mic, directional mic, external, that's mounted on the camera. And then we have lav mics, which you may see us use when we're talking to camera, the little clip-on lav mic.
Yeah. So you record that independently, or you somehow get that to your camera?
No, so that's independent. So we use Premiere Pro to edit our stuff, and that has a synchronization feature in it. So you literally just lay your two audio tracks on top of each other, and it will synchronize it for you. So it makes it so much easier to edit in post.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. So that brings me to the
That's the drone, obviously.
We've got a big softbox which we mount when we're doing stuff down below, because it's quite dark down below. So we have a great big LED softbox.
Yeah, lighting, the other thing. We've got some lights on us at the moment. I don't know if you can see them, but these are we've got these very bright floodlights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We do as well. Can you see it? We're so pale compared to you guys.
Well, we've been hiding indoors for the last month and a half, so we're a little whiter than you are, I guess. But yeah. So as far as the process goes, then are you just filming all the time, or do you film days, or do you set out to create something very specific with video, or how does it work?
Bit of both.
I suppose so. So on the whole, we tend to just take the camera with us wherever we go and just film whatever we see. Occasionally we might have a little project in mind, but it happens organically, really. And I think the episodes just, they write themselves, because obviously we store all of our video footage in chronological order. When it comes to editing it, you know, that chronological story just tells itself. So it does make editing a bit easier.
If we're sailing, we might put GoPros and fixed cameras on the deck and just run those if there's a little bit something interesting happening as we're sailing, so that you've got that kind of B-roll all the time.
Yeah.
But you have to have a camera close to hand to try and grab what you can when you can. And
Sure.
Jamie does 90% of it, to be honest with you.
So that would be, obviously you haven't got your Panasonic on deck, so you've always got a GoPro ready to go kind of thing.
Yeah. Especially sort of nighttime, and also in schools in bad weather, you can't use the Panasonic, so that's where the TUF comes in useful, because obviously it's waterproof. The only problem with that is that you're relying on the internal microphone, and obviously when that gets wet, then the audio gets a bit crappy.
But it kind of works if it's raining, because
yeah,
you know,
adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We got a GoPro, I think it's a Hero 4, and we got a Sennheiser mic for it.
Yep.
Sennheiser actually sold you the back for the waterproof case, and the microphone is fitted inside that, or outside of that rather, with the dead cat on it already. So it's all sort of one unit, you know, and the sound is really good. Like,
yeah,
Sennheiser.
any external mic is going to be better than what's built in. Of course, the Hero 8 has the new mod kit that you can buy for it, so it has its own little shotgun mic mounted into the corner of the external case.
Yeah.
You know, if and when you can afford it or you feel inclined to, a step up to the Hero 7 or 8 from the 4 is a big step up, because it has
Quality.
stabilization built into it, and that stabilization is phenomenal. It's
Really?
so you can walk down the street holding it out and talking to camera, and you don't get that horrible jerkiness. It's very, very smooth and fluid.
Sure. Yeah, we recently bought a gimbal. But I find it so unwieldy. You know, I think it would be nice just to have a camera that would do that.
There is Tiga Island. It's about 1 kilometre in length, and it's just so nice to see a tropical island.
Any suggestions to somebody who's trying to break into this sort of thing in YouTube? Any suggestions to a young creator?
The first thing I always say is only do it if you really love doing it. Don't expect to make money out of it, because it's very difficult to make any money out of this. It has to be a joy. It has to be something you're really, really interested in. That's the first thing I would say.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, for sure. You've got to have a love, a passion for it. I mean, we do know YouTubers who find it a bit of a chore having to do the editing, because that is where you're spending most of your time, in the editing suite. And you've got to like it. Also, as you probably know, it's recommended that you must publish frequently, or at least you know, on the same day every week, or even if it's just monthly. So you've got to get used to having a timeline and being under pressure to getting something out consistently every week. And sometimes that can be a bit of a drag. You know, I've had occasions when I've just thought, oh, this is, do I have to do this?
But ultimately, it's quite good having that deadline, because it kicks you up the arse and makes you do it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I would say is beautiful footage, lovely sounds, and all of that, great. But when I watch anything, I want a story. I want a really good story.
That's it in a
Yeah.
nutshell. You've got to
Yeah.
have a story.
Yeah, so the footage may not be perfect, but if you're telling some kind of story, I don't mean a magnificent Shakespearean story. I just mean something that comes together with the beginning, a middle, and end, and hopefully somewhere along the way, a little bit of tension, even if it's just taking the most interesting bit and doing a snippet of it at the beginning, so
Yeah.
they're hooked in and they want to see, ooh, what's going to happen, you know.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
something. So storytelling is king for me. That's where I come from as the writer.
yeah.
That's where, when in the editing, Jamie puts all this footage together to create some kind of story.
Yeah, and what's the great expression which I can never remember about killing your babies?
Yes, kill your darlings.
Kill your darlings. Have
Yeah.
you heard of this
For
expression?
writers.
Well, we did. We've heard it in all sorts of things, and it involved pets more than babies. But I know exactly what
Yes,
you're.
I think it was the puppies.
The puppies. Yeah.
Right, yes. Strangle your puppies.
Perhaps you could explain that before we have the animal rights people chasing us here.
So what invariably happens is that you've created all this beautiful footage, filmed this beautiful footage, and you want to put it in your episode. It might be 2 minutes of a beautiful sunset, but 2 minutes of a beautiful sunset was great for you, but for the viewer, they don't need 2 minutes worth.
They
They
get bored.
need 2 seconds worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Killing Your Darlings is all about being ruthless about what you keep in your episode and what ends up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And it's about always, as Liz says, keep in your mind the story and pace as well, to have a good pace all the way through. So at no point does the viewer sort of start to lose their interest and sort of drift off somewhere. Keep it, you know, pacey. Snappy, yeah. We were commenting when we were coming up the coast how we hadn't seen the massive fishing fleets that you get in Malaysia and Thailand, the big wooden fishing boats. It seems on the coast of Brunei, the fishermen are all in little speedboats with big enduro outboards, sometimes with 2 outboards, and they all seem to be casting nets. Just find your own voice.
Be natural.
Be natural. Don't.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, look at other YouTube channels. I think Liz alluded to this earlier. I don't really watch other sailing channels, and there's partly a reason for that. The main reason is because I draw my inspiration from other non-sailing channels, specifically the film editor, the pro film editors out there that have YouTube channels where you can actually learn editing techniques, camera techniques, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot from those. And I don't want to be too influenced by the YouTube sailing channels. You know, you end up watching some of the big channels and you think, well, they're successful, so they've obviously got the right formula. Let's emulate that. And suddenly you're starting to lose your own voice. So I think part of the process is to find your own voice.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
so true.
We talked to James Evanson from Sailing Zingaro, and James said everything's an art in this hobby. He said, you know, I mean, you've got to be a filmmaker, you've got to be a mechanic, you've got to be a sailor, you've got to be a storyteller. I mean, everything's an art, and I think looking at it like it is an art form is a great way to approach it. Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, Jamie is the creative and the driver in this whole follow the boat thing. You know, so he does most of the photography, most things, and most of the editing. I'm more interested in words. You know, I read a lot and write, so I come at it from the writer's point of view, and he comes up with these beautiful things, but I'm able to go in from the outside and look at what he does sometimes and say, you've got to take that out, you've got to take that out, you need to hold it down. And listen, I'm not seeing a story here. So that's how we work as a couple. It's his baby, and then me coming in and just...
And you ruin it for me.
And ruining it for me.
You're throwing the babies out with the bathwater.
And actually, Debbie's very similar. I like Debbie to watch it after I've done that first edit to say, you know, change this or change that. And she's got a good eye for... Sometimes I don't use very good tact, I guess is the word too. So she knows where the line is better than I do sometimes. So you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Stand
Well,
that fully.
listen, guys, it's really been a pleasure speaking with you.
And you.
Our pleasure. It's
We're
great.
so
You know, I was thinking about, it's great. Isn't it great, this technology? As we all know, since the whole lockdown thing, everyone has discovered Zooming and Skyping and WhatsApping and so on. People are using this technology more than ever. But it is something that us as yachties have been doing for a very long time, because things like Facebook are probably more important to us than to people back at home who see each other physically every day. For us, we don't get to see a lot of our friends. Making new friends like yourselves online it's a real special treat to have. You know, I love it. It's great.
Especially here, there's no one here.
Yes.
On there.
Oh, and I'm so glad that we got to talk.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, you too.
Yes,
Bye.
we'll talk to you
Nice
again.
meeting you.
Bye now. Yeah, well, thank you very much, and we're going to get this young lady to bed. And,
TMI.
Talk to me.